guard against the acquisition of unwarranted influence, whether sought or unsought, by the military-industrial complex.
Greetings world. We are anonymous.
Salutations peuple du monde. Nous sommes Anonymous. Lorsque les gouvernements violent les droits du peuple, la rébellion de ce dernier est un devoir fondamental, un acte citoyen au sens noble du terme. Aussi, nous nous unissons tous, Anonymous, lanceurs d'alerte, gilets jaunes et résistants pour alerter le monde sur le sort de Julian Assange, grand journaliste maintes fois primé. La surveillance de masse et les lois liberticides sont omniprésentes. Nous sommes de plus en plus surveillés par les puissants de ce monde, mais qui les surveillent. Le journalisme est la dernière sentinelle du peuple. Un homme, Julian Assange, s'est levé pour dénoncer leurs crimes en créant la plateforme Wikileaks qui permet le dépôt et la diffusion de documents confidentiels. Wikileaks fonctionne depuis 2006 et a permis de révéler au grand jour les exactions commises par l'armée américaine en 2007 en Irak. Citons aussi les Macron Leaks, documents dénonçant les mensonges de la mafia Macron et notamment le scandale de la taxe carbone détournée au profit du CICE. Depuis, le peuple est dans la rue pour dénoncer ce système corrompu jusqu'à la moelle. Depuis ses révélations sur l'Irak, vidéo collateral murder montrant l'assassinat de civils par l'armée américaine, Julian Assange est pourchassé. Il est actuellement retenu en toute illégalité dans une prison de haute sécurité en Angleterre.
Stay strong, you will be free. Governments will not win.
Un procès pour son extradition est prévu fin février, s'il n'est pas mort avant. Il est maintenu à l'isolement et torturé. Les alertes de l'ONU et de plus de 60 médecins n'y changent rien. Plus aucun média grand public ne parle de lui bien qu'ayant abondamment profité de son travail. Il ne lui reste que nous, le peuple, comme seul rempart. Les États-Unis ne peuvent détruire le message, ils veulent donc tuer le messager, envoyant ainsi un signal fort à tous les journalistes et lanceurs d'alerte pour les dissuader d'exposer la vérité. Ouvrez les yeux, renseignez-vous, indignez-vous, dire la vérité n'est pas un crime, c'est le premier devoir du journaliste. Nous exigeons sa libération immédiate. N'oubliez pas qui nous sommes. La corruption nous craint. Nous sommes Anonymous. Nous sommes légion. Nous nous battons pour la vérité. Nous ne pardonnons pas. Nous n'oublions pas. Craignez-nous.
Greetings world. We are anonymous.
Okay guys, we are live now with episode 3 of the Anonymous Bites Back Asia shows. We have a lot to discuss today. Before the show we mentioned like the Macau secret police subject. We have the coronal illness in China, the China region, and spreading to other countries already. And we have many other subjects to discuss about. We have our usual panel. Yeah, we can just get started, I guess. I mean, what should we start with? Should we do like the Macau thing first? Or?
We can start with the Macau secret police law, or we should call it bill.
Okay.
So we make a very brief like intro, like introduction to the bill. So this bill actually suggests to amend one of their one of their judici- judiciary laws, that so it so it puts so it suggests to put like national to get like the national security involved in the internet. So if and there are actually voices that worry that it isn't that actually isn't that actually a law that will allow allow national security agents to spy, to actually target on individuals who direct like to who have to target about citizens who have opinions about opposite opinions with the government.
Is it only digitally?
Yes, it's go. Yes, when it's like not so it's like there is also digitally. So before there are like before it's already in the like it's already in the real life. Now it goes into it entrenches into the virtual road right now.
Yeah, this bill basically say that actually it is already passed, so it's not a bill anymore. So it basically says that now with reasonable ground, they could check anyone's identity and also their criminal records, and also put the record into the national security, intelligence, and so on. So what worries people is that they are not very clear about what they're going to be using as the criteria of selecting target. So if you like, they are just saying that when it's reasonable, they can do it. So anyone could basically have a reason, like they can always have a reason for like checking your identity when you're online, like if you're saying things that they don't want to see saying. Yeah, so they're comparing this they're comparing this law to the um 廿三條應該點講 to the
So they're actually
national security of Hong Kong they are.
yeah, they're comparing to another national security bill in Hong Kong, even though this is in Macau, so they have already passed something like this.
so they are unmasking the users on internet.
No, they don't have to ask anyone for their information. Just like if they see you post something, they can already have the right to check your identity and your records, and also put the records into the
This is
system.
that's a skill like the last topic in anonymous very popular is the super firewall in China. That means their firewall would be giant to go through to their next following city. That means they can spying, monitoring, and capture everyone internet user up to their network within the text, message, photo, video, everything. They can check, they can search for. This means they make their lawfully to request the ISP service to release the user information and let the police to arrest you every time, anytime, and you didn't need to know. It's very terrible law. Sometimes maybe more more. I would think there's more crazy than Act Two or SOPR. Because in Europe, in American, maybe the SOPR and Act Two will be they need to provide you are proving the message in dangerous, maybe terrorism or something. 網絡欺凌，即係the
Cyberbullying.
cyberbullying or something, and they can to make the arrest or charge or something action to the people. But in Asian, the normal laws would be crazy to um, to check the user as you don't need to report anything. They can check you before, and if they have they think enough condition to give you a charge or maybe put you to the court, and they will coming to arrest you, and you never can preparing somebody will catching you and you didn't know it.
Yeah, you could already be targeted long ago, and then just until one point they find some critical evidence and they will just come arrest you. So anyone could be targeted.
Under
to
the
make
name of the national security. Yeah.
To make it clear to our audience, where did this law pass? In China, and does it
In
also
Macau.
include Hong Kong?
Well, it's in Macau, which is one of the it's one of a former Portuguese colony, and it is handed back to China in 1999. So it the Macau, it also it also has a very similar history with Hong Kong. That's it's a former colony and it's handed back to China, and now it's run under the system of now it's run under one country two systems model. But in terms of integration, like Macau, in terms of integration between China and the former colonies, Macau would be the example of how their like the example of how their how their system is increasingly turning became becoming similar to China, and when there's like no other, like there are very few other opposition to actually to stop something like anything harmful to the citizens.
Yeah, so under the one country two system, usually people compare Macau with Hong Kong and saying that Macau is the good kid of China and Hong Kong is the bad kid. So Macau is like they approve of almost every law that the Chinese government want them to pass.
I would
Instead, Hong
say
Kong like opposed to a lot of things.
I
So
would
they
say
are the
maybe
good example.
maybe the fact was a little bit not easily to present to the other, because in case uh, first let's see around the news talking about what are this cyber law or this something like the secret police, what it means in Chinese. They call it 秘密警察. That means we call it secret police, something like this. And it means they are just the cyber police. They can be undercover in the network and check every data access or flow up to the network. Maybe that means your Facebook, your Twitter, and even your post. They can check, they can read, and want to find out who is the user behind the account. And let's look back around the news, and when they post at this called last, they say that Macau has created four departments of their national security, and most important or the most of we focus on is this fourth department will include to checking the uh, how to do remember like that. the secret police will lawfully to check out the network anything information that the news write about like that, and to check uh,
IP address and
not the IP address. That means the identity information with 刑事同民事嗰個分別，我唔記得咗英文嚟㗎。
你想講刑事乜嘢？
唔係，即係刑事同民事其實有兩個 lawful 嘅 terms 嘅，不過我唔記得咗嗰兩個字啊！突然間，佢咁寫㗎嘛，
So it's
查閲民事及刑事身份資料啊嘛，即係話佢總之乜都睇得到啦。
刑事係 criminal，民事係
咁民事我就真係唔記得咗啦。And
civilian, civil.
could be.
that means the every case they can check and look back to confirm the identity with their want. Just that means there are no rules to check out everything. That's all. And
it's just such a dangerous law to citizens' privacy rights. It's a very dangerous privacy violation.
But to talk about in Macau, it means both the council and the people percentage in Macau. We can think more than 18% will be the new increment with from the China. They don't care or they don't think about what is the cyber law or internet security, not the internet right of the user. In Europe and in America, we would think about when the council to think about or talk about something law in with the internet. They would think most in since begin from the human rights to think about it. But in Asians, people don't care about this, and I don't think Macau people would not to agree as because they're too less people. They can't present in the right their needs or they don't agree this law to be passed or executed because just this is the demo in China because they know they can fully control in Macau. The first time to present or this law in Macau is passed it and running very well. Why not the other city can't follow them?
Yeah.
Exactly.
This is the step, and they were planning to do something. And I know something like the radio channel in Macau, and they were talking something 神秘學節目，即係嗰啲maybe
something metaphysical, or like the kind of like the talk of
program with talking about something UFO, aliens, or maybe something like closing like us to talk about something funny or the non useful or non popular
abnormal.
Yeah. But they were very easy to in the step to be under checking. In case I can show you a real life, they're still working this program. In Chinese name they call it 試圖解密. Is my friend's friends. They're Macau's. This is a two man. They're working on this program, doing something. The topics also is like a UFO, Illuminati, or something.
So conspiracy theories.
yeah. This is just an interesting program from the radio channel. But now they sure they try to move to the network and online to release their programming. But maybe this law will make them very easily to step into the illegal part. Seems like Hong
Uh,
Kong. I think the first part of the damage or would take this effect was it's the media. There's too much reporter or
So I have one big question. I think maybe you can answer it, you like that. Maybe you guys mentioned it before already, but I'm thinking like the secret police has these powers now, right? But will they still go through the traditional ways to get your identity, for example, or will they use like methods which are considered illegal now too? Let's say like we like if you post something in the West, like you're in the United States and you post like a message on Facebook saying like I want to take down the government, then what the government can also do, they can request your identity from Facebook, right? But the secret police, will they also like request the identity from Facebook, or will they use their own methods to get your identity, if they can? Like,
Here they didn't say they have to request, but they say they would use legal methods to check your identity, both criminal and civil records.
so they will still go through like the traditional ways to get it. Like they will still request it from Facebook. They will still say or tell Facebook to give it, for so to speak. Like,
I think
Yeah, I
it's
think so.
in this time
That
in
is
this
what they're
time
saying.
in this time maybe they would not very emotionally to act to arrest somebody. They would first to do one thing just is keep watching to let you make all more action because if you just tag a one speech it cannot to say you are in the criminal that maybe you're angry you're tag something roughly or maybe you tag some dirty words on the internet this they cannot do anything they would the the situation would be you are under the moderating at first, but in anything, maybe suddenly you post that you attack the government and some government department website was down and they would try to arrest you and say they would just keep moderating and take all the information at a base and to make a story and to make sure they can shut down their if the story was like a bomb maybe something for example maybe Chinese have a dangerous virus right now and if you try to update the the patient or the picture includes their hospital they won't arrest you immediately they would try to following you and check you know your family know your address know what is your working places or something like this and try to damage your next party maybe your parents your wife your kids you will be you will be something wanted or maybe something 恐嚇或者係即係
Blackmailed.
一啲非法禁錮咁嘅嘢咯，係咯。
okay, okay, yeah, yeah. That's also like an answer to it. Like, yeah, I was asking it because if they do it like in other ways, like not by contacting Facebook all the time, like Facebook, like if they contact Facebook for your information, Facebook will inform you, right? They will say like government asks your information now, we have to give it. Here is what we give them or something. They will say this. So, but if they like have to follow you, they need to have some kind of secrecy, right? They have to follow you in secret because if they don't, you will change behavior.
Yeah, yeah, but the in maybe how to say that in Asians they won't care about you to text anything in the internet because they know they can in case they can call Facebook to close down the page or delete the page or whatever. But in Asian, the government most focusly how to take down the people. They want to stop the people to release more about more around the information about the news or message to prove they have to happen. It doesn't mean um, they they don't they don't care the attack. They just like North Korean. They don't want the bad. Uh,
You mean they don't want bad news to? They don't
the
want.
即係佢唔想有個壞嘅形象去展示俾人睇，佢有啲醜陋嘅一面。
Oh, so basically they don't want to show. They don't want to show their problems. They don't want to look. They don't want to look being. They having problems with their own people.
Just they want to keep the image in clear, and China is very strong. They are no happen. They are everything is the best. Just like in North Korean, they almost would care about you present their bad condition with the people. So everybody in the North Korean television, you can see they would say, President Kim is very good. Just you can see this only. But in China, they would just want to take down the information with. They don't care about the cyber attack because in China they know that if they stop the people, for example, you can emergency a super hacker in China can do everything, but they don't care the hacker to crack down their website, their bank, or their anything. They just want they just don't know the news to output or open source to the public. That means they can control the news.
Oh wait, I think I can add onto it. You know, so basically there it's a law. So they wanna just basically they wanna filter out the bad news to their own people. This is what I think of, to their own people. So they don't want to show the not the best side of their own country to the people. So the people will be quite let's say they only get their propaganda of China being strong, China being powerful, they and being prosperous, all that kind of stuff, and they take pride of it. So whenever people get like people from other countries, or they have different opinions, they will say that you're they the people who get the propaganda would actually sort of attack these people, like you're fake news, you don't believe in don't believe in our party, you will believe in our Chinese Communist Party, you're a liar, you're an agent.
Yeah, that is working quite well in China, and I guess they're trying to put that into Macau and Hong Kong right now. So I guess what he was saying is that, like you guys were saying, is that like they're trying to filter their own information flow of the bad news inside their own people only. So like they don't care what the internationals think. They just want to deceive their own people. Is that right?
其實唔係嘅，佢係澳門個人口比例太少，根本就冇人識得去反對。即係真係澳門人，我覺得佢哋一定唔妥呢個通過㗎啦。但係咁佢哋可以點喺個議會度講啫？
Yeah, another problem is that like the legislation in Macau is entirely taken over by like
The injection
the
from
Chinese
China
part.
is not.
Hmm? Did you just say something?
But in my corner, I would think this is the bad example in the last term I called it in the Taiwan 區 because since 2016, after they will China want to rebuild the place like go
They want to make a the Greater Bay Area. They want to make a special, like a special
I mean, it's
economic
almost like a
region.
city, like American California or something, and they named that called the Taiwan Code. It means the
Greater Bay Area.
zone with include Hong Kong, Macau, and around the places was a little bit big.
真正
新镇这样子 and something, but what they want to try to this is the first step in like the to create the cyber lawful with the right under the lawful, but it's dangerous. If Macau is the first, the next I hope that maybe not would be in Hong Kong, maybe would be Shenzhen and maybe Guangzhou, and the other places would be grade up 2, 3, 4, and they would return to Hong Kong that time to say, oh, our places already take this law. Why don't you follow? This
Yeah.
old shit.
Yeah. So actually, the Chinese government themselves just created this zone, which they also put Hong Kong inside, and they are trying to enforce laws over the different regions in the zone, and then after that, force Hong Kong to also enforce those laws because Hong Kong was put into that zone by them.
Yes, it
they
seems,
wanted the sorry.
sorry. It
Yeah.
seems that
Because
Macau is like a test area, and this is if the test pass successfully, they will of course want to apply it to other areas. This is why it is very important that people shouldn't be silent about this.
Yeah, and in Europe we actually have the whole Tarek situation where they are creating a kind of like an anti-terrorism or anti-hate speech filter, and if you are posting something online, I think it's very similar to this thing, but it's more like a filter. If you post something online, then the sites like Facebook or Twitter or whatever, they are forced to remove the content within a specific number of hours, or they become responsible for what you do.
Yep.
Same, same acting, same acting.
Yeah, and it is weird that it is coming at around the same time, right? Like, I always think like China or whatever is so unique and so separate from Europe or from the USA or whatever, but it's about it at the same time. I mean, Tarek, they're already talking about Tarek here too. I mean, at the same time, which is weird, I think.
So this maybe become the global problem with the government to create this law to control the internet speech. So
Yeah, well, like,
that was
you know what it makes me think about, Ui? Like, that people talk about Chinese firewall and Chinese people being so restricted, but then you read about all these American companies like Cisco being involved with it.
Right, right.
Like, it's like one group.
maybe after the Soper and Actor and ACP Local and all that. Just this is the new most update. If we talk about the Soper and Actor and become in Asia, it would be taken like this. They called it secret police.
Yeah. Yeah, secret police is such a strange word.
Yeah, because in a Chinese search engine called Baidu, and they have the explanation what means they call that a basic and mean the secret police meanings, and this almost for the national security terms of named the security national security police. They would call it
the 秘密警察 in English. So we turn this on secretly, something like this. But that means the department to be the cyber army from the government to moderating and controlling the network. Then maybe they not really can do something action to stop the people posting or something, but they can moderating or just to capture or find out where is the user behind the account and try to give them some problem, maybe to to how to say that to destroy your work or maybe uh, you will heard about the last story in China. We're talking about the 嗰個信用評級叫乜鬼啊？
social security system.
Yeah, social security classing system in the people. That means you do the good things, you do the good, you take the good marks, but you can, but you may be easily to take the down mark value. Maybe you threw the rubbish on the street and take the camera and you would take your mark down very fast. Something like this. Unbelievable in China. But this you can't believe that this can be running in the real humanity society.
Yeah, it's very Orwellian. Very Orwellian.
Also, they may not do anything like arresting or something, but actually, in fact, if they share this information with government officials and private companies, then it might cause actually people to lose their jobs or not be able to get their jobs or not be able to even have medical care properly.
Basically, it's not fight. It's not like okay, it's not something like okay, you have done something wrong. I'm here to officially give you, to tell you that you have done something wrong. But rather they go on other ways. They would threaten your family. They would threaten your income, all that counts. They attack your soft spots.
或者恐嚇你啲屋企人咁咯。
Yeah, so basically, like they would like there's a saying that they will invite your family to drink tea to drink tea together. That means like which is basically means that to sort of like threaten your family, to tell you not to do that again or bad things will happen.
Also concerning TEREC, actually trilogues are in the process in the European Parliament yet, but in the first part actually they voted to leave filters out of TEREC. This actually failed, but now they are again discussing to include filters in the TEREC, which is terrible.
Of course, there are scumbags like that. They will do it anyway.
Yes, it's a major problem. So, if you are done with the subject, should we go on with the other?
Yeah, I just want to add to it that yeah, maybe listeners from Asia and the region, like we have this whole illusion of a democracy in the EU. Like we have political parties. They actually they do oppose these things. They do try to like fight back against these TEREC things and against these more government powers, but they always lose. Like they never win. They never win. Like even though the entire population is against it, right? Like if you ask people on the street, are you in favor of them doing all this stuff? They will always say, no, we don't want this. So the weird thing is like, if you are in an open democracy, like they claim, and everyone is actually against something, then why aren't these parties more powerful? How is it possible, right? And that is a one thing people have to think about, I think. But yeah.
Like regarding that, I think that is kind of a global problem that we do not agree to something, we oppose something, but we don't say it out loud.
No, but
So like we don't,
but still we can vote, right? I mean, and why don't we vote for the? Are we really that stupid, or is something else going on? Like,
but can you actually vote for every law? Like in the EU? I don't think so.
not directly, no. But there are some political parties who are historically like more for more. They have more like the libertarian approach, more like a pro-liberty thing, like.
Yeah, but a lot of people just don't vote.
True. Especially the EU is very much not popular, so it has a very low low amount of people actually show up at the voting booths.
Also, of course, they do everything not to inform people in the right way, so that it is as if these laws are passed hidden from public. Smiler, you had mentioned that in your area, actually, not a lot of people heard about copyright directive, for example.
Yes, that is crazy. I have talked to people from a lot of different countries in the EU. Like, yeah, quite a big sample size, I would say. Like people from Poland, from Finland, from the Netherlands, from Germany, from Spain, from Italy, and no one at all that I was talking to, like, have heard about the copyright directives. Like one German person among them have heard about this, but she don't really care. Like how? I don't know.
Well, many people, they just feel like, oh, this isn't going to affect me. Oh, this is just for terrorists. Like, but then they don't read the directives. They don't actually get involved and see where things are heading. And then, they don't care until it affects them. Until they see the effects actually affect them is when they actually care.
Most people don't even understand copyright law. Like they don't even
Oh
know
yeah,
it.
absolutely
Like,
not.
If
But
you're
at first, a lot.
go ahead.
Yeah, go on.
Now, I was just wanted to explain copyright law like a very simple way. Like, if you like upload videos to YouTube, like you're allowed to upload videos to YouTube of yourself speaking, right? But if you're standing on the street and you're making this video, but you're wearing like Nike shoes, the video will be banned if they want it, because your Nike shoes are copyrighted. So, and if you're standing in a street and you're standing in front of some store which has like a copyrighted logo, they can kill it from the internet. So it is going to affect everyone. Like, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it is, but it's also like surprising that they didn't even heard of this law before. Like when I mentioned it to them, it's the first time that they have ever heard about this law. So obviously the media didn't talk about this enough. I don't know, is that intentional or whatever, but we certainly need people to hear about these things first in order to at least like get them involved. Whether they think it would like be related or would affect them, it's another thing, but at least we have to let people know about these things, like these things are happening.
Yeah, because copyright law is an even more powerful tool for governments to use than any other restrictive internet government thing. Like, imagine that you don't even need police anymore to stop a protest. You can just send a guy in who like makes like a copyrighted music on it, and it can no longer be broadcasted. You just send a guy with a radio. He's like broadcasting the copyrighted music, right? He's just standing there, and you can ban the entire video. You have live streams, and you just send in a guy with music, and it stops.
Yeah, unless you mute
Yep.
it.
Yeah, you can send in a guy with Nike shoes and it stops if you want it, as a government.
Yeah.
Like, that's how weak you become. And you're talking about
Well, it's
civil.
not only just Nike; it's any type of branding shoe. So it'd just be like,
I was just
not
focusing
even
on
just
Nike.
shoes. It's T-shirts. Throw a fucking guy in there with a logo of like a Coca-Cola shirt, and you can get the video taken down. I know we joked before about um, having somebody with a boombox and walking through a protest with like playing a copyrighted song, but I mean that's the reality of it. That's really what could happen. I mean, people don't think these things of how extreme, once the laws are in place, how extreme the governments can take this. Like they can choose to go in whatever route they want, and with the copyright directive now passed, and I believe it's still being challenged, though, right, Mark?
Well, the ACTA 2 thing kind of like, it was implemented. So, the governments now have 2 years to implement it in their local laws. They can give their own interpretation to it, of course, and but
are they still challenging it? Like, aren't there still some governments that are challenging it?
There is a lawsuit. Some lawsuits are going on, and but these are like delay tactics. And what you can hope for to really challenge it is you elect new people into the parliament, and they will come up with a new directive that will overturn this one, which is possible. I mean, you can't like stop a directive, but you can of course create a new one. That's always possible. I mean, someone can draw up a new copyright directive next month, and they can be voted on again. So it depends on what politicians are in your parliament. If you have, let's say, like we have like Pirate Party, for example, they oppose this stuff. So if everyone would vote Pirate Party and they would create a new directive, and they have like a majority, then would be a new directive. So.
But can they actually cover the old one? Like it would still be there, isn't it?
It would be there, but if you have a new directive, you can actually put that into law. Like it changes all the time.
And then it would replace it, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it changes all the time. You can, like you can give this example. You can create in the past you have a law that you can drive 130 kilometers an hour with your car on highways, right? And it's implemented in most countries in the EU. But then they say like, so that that is a directive. That is a directive created. So but then they say like, okay, there is now a climate problem, so we're going to reduce this, and we can only drive 100 kilometers an hour on a highway. So we create a new directive because of the whole climate stuff, right? Which is all doubtful. But then there's a new directive, and then then the old one is changed in that way. So you can't really say like we stop this directive, but we can always make a new one. Yeah, that's possible.
Interesting.
So not all hope is lost.
Yeah, I was just gonna say I just can't see how they're going to be able to filter through all of that content, even with an algorithm, right? Using artificial intelligence, it still requires some type of human element to it. Because you got content that'll be red flagged, falsely. Like there's so many ways that can be abused. Like I can't even. Like, oh my god, like if they go through with this, and I know they already passed it, right? But if they implement this and it actually starts being active on websites, I don't know, man. Like, I don't understand how that this would even function. Like, even with like new technology like blockchain, right? How are they going to implement that and say, you have to remove this from the blockchain? That's not how the blockchain works. Like, have fun, guys. Have fun, because guess what? We already built a technology that completely combats your attempted copyright narrative here, because that technology, it could store data, and it can't be deleted. Like it's immutable. So I don't know. Like the thing is, for me, I think a lot of these politicians lack the technical knowledge to understand what exactly is possible, and what isn't. Like, that's the way I feel because of like these copyright directives and like all these like stupid laws where they try to implement something, and then it's almost like it's impossible to implement. So I mean, like, how are they going to go through all that content, right?
Mm-hmm.
You quite reminded me that there's a few cases of people actually like try to post. There's because like I think the Ethereum that you can put a comment into it. Is it? So basically there's one case in China where there's this I think this rape there's a rape case going on, and in the university where the student can't sue is unable to sue the professor, so somebody actually helped her to post to post the details of the case going on into one of the transactions of Ethereum, so the whole thing is exposed.
Well, Ethereum isn't a privacy blockchain. It's public ledger. Same thing as Bitcoin. Everybody thinks that Bitcoin is anonymous. No, it's pseudo anonymous. If you are using Bitcoin, have your public address posted on your social media profile, then use that same address to cash out in like Coinbase or something else, right? You are 100% traceable, and you are a fucking idiot if you think that that's anonymous.
Yeah. So in the situation, how will say that if you use the blockchain or public your wallet address would be like on the onion web. There's more safety for you, but and in this it means if you post the Bitcoin account on the network, they can trace you back in right now. That is not safety anymore.
Right. Yeah. I mean, you could use Tor, you can use a fucking VPN or whatever, right? But if your own OPSEC is poor, then your funds are going to get exposed to chain analysis. So it's like, and I'm not going to give fucking money laundering advice on the air. Mark will fucking kill me. But the thing is that what a lot of people just don't realize with blockchain is that it's not fully anonymous. It's pseudo anonymous up to the point where it depends on you as a user. I will say that in early days of Bitcoin, everybody said that after every single transaction, you should create a new address. The reason being is because of pseudo anonymous capabilities of Bitcoin, number one. And number two, doing that is the proper way to actually use Bitcoin. That's the thing that a lot of OGs in Bitcoin know about, is that that's the way you were supposed to use Bitcoin. You're not supposed to reuse addresses. But today, everybody reuses addresses. I see it all the time. So, I mean, using Bitcoin is great, and even if not using it anonymously, right? It's great, but people need to realize that where you purchase your Bitcoin, if you purchase from Coinbase, right, that trace is already there for your identity. It's there because you purchased from Coinbase with your credit card or bank account, whatever, right? So similarly, if you purchase from some other service, right, that's like Coinbase, centralized, they have your information, they have your address, not your address, your bank account connected to that Bitcoin address, right? So the way to actually mitigate that is to purchase Bitcoin on local Bitcoins or purchase it from somebody on the side, right? That at that point is the way that you stay anonymous purchasing a VPN. Like I will give that advice because it's not like money laundering advice, but anyway, um, when you use Bitcoin to purchase a VPN or a VPS, you're fully anonymous. If you follow those procedures. And the way you do that is with local Bitcoins, they have like gift cards for Bitcoin and stuff like that. But there's also other ways where you can earn Bitcoin anonymously. Like even though you even though you're using your credit card to purchase things like Purse.io, you can sign up for Purse.io, buy people Amazon products, ship them to them, right? And then you get Bitcoin in exchange for it. Um, and that's another way to have anonymous Bitcoin, where yes, it's connected to your Purse account, but you have to understand how Bitcoin works. Is that all these transactions are being sent into your Purse account, and then it is anonymous in nature, as composed to or I'm sorry, as compared to purchasing through a Coinbase or a centralized exchange and getting the Bitcoin. It's not actually connected to you. Like it's not connected to your bank account. It's connected to a credit card or debit card, yes, but in the same regard, it's not a public address that's there for people to view. It's on Purse, so as long as you don't share that Purse address, you're good. But yeah, I mean, there's all types of different ways to like get anonymous Bitcoin to purchase a VPN. Everybody within Anonymous knows that. So there's my long rant. And I think we should kind of jump into the Wuhan virus, or what many are calling a coronavirus.
Before that, maybe we can talk about the Sunday's protests because in Hong Kong it's getting late, and if Tree Fisher and others want to go to bed earlier, maybe we shouldn't just miss that subject because they know much better about these protests.
Okay.
So in Hong Kong, last Sunday there was a big protest, and can you talk about it?
So, does anybody have any updates on the protest in Hong Kong at all? Just jump in.
Oh, just yesterday they called it assembly named it 哇唔識譯啊咩叫天下制裁啊 just we can share the video later. It means just on Sunday at the noon they got assembly at a Hong Kong place called Admiralty Central, like public places and very very crowd of people to join the assembly and not enough area to hold down the people, and suddenly the police said the holder cannot control the places or the condition. You need to dismiss the assembly and start the roto. And police start roto to to hit the people, to declare the people, but just the I remember that the assembly just beginning around 1 hour, 1.5 an hour, and police suddenly to get in the assembly and talk to the holder. You need to dismiss this assembly. You cannot control blah 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 blah, and try to fight and get start to fight.
Wait, let's say this. Because originally it's there because in Hong Kong you have to ask for you actually had to ask the police first for the permit to have a protest march, to have an assembly going on. So they basically it was like they approved for they have a letter of no objection to the assembly, but a letter of objection to the protest march. But there's so much people coming into the park at the Shatter Gardens. Is it? Sorry.
Peter Street.
Yes. So there's so much people actually going into the Shatter Gardens from all around the nearby regions. So that it's actually so that for that it's possibly that the police use for a reason to stop the whole assembly, saying presuming that the organizer has no capability of like controlling the situation, because in the protest is actually the assembly there's actually a rule saying that they must be what they call prefects, or people who can maintain like the orderliness over there. And they say that they take the situation outside the park as a kind of like an excuse to halt the whole assembly. And actually they did arrest the organizer for like not for actually like making like encouraging people to do anything violent, to commit like to say like, even though it was very reason there's no reason to there's no reason that they're arresting it to arrest them. They just still they still put that kind of reason onto the organizer.
So what was the reason for this protest? Why people protest?
It's basically asking for the international community to put sanctions on China for one thing. And
I can explain something. As in the assembly, the inside message, they would say that Americans start the human right blah 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 law to Hong Kong, something like this. That's they Hong Kong people want to same the question like us. Is the question is execute, how to execute to do this, and to present the bully with by the police or by the government or something. They want to release more the name, the address, the bank account, or the information, including the the government consulator or the police information to around the world. And they want the law start to execute and make more other country to follow the law, like the 制裁即係點啊？
sanctions, like to sanction these people who did not like who aid in the abuse of human rights conducted by the police force of Hong Kong.
Yeah, this is the information in the assembly, and but there have something extra condition before the assembly, because last time the police tried to showing the media reporter identity card in front of the camera live stream, and showing and that means make the personal information to release to the world. Just that mostly the media, like in Hong Kong, they like to use their Facebook live stream to present their live media, something like this, and
So
and
basically,
the
the
police.
police was intentionally exposing the personal particulars of the report of a media worker, of a reporter.
Yeah, and after that, would the media would really to exploding Chinese doing this is not good for the personal classifier something, and uh, the police just advance, and on the Sunday assembly. They crazy to search the media. They bully to the media, and I remember that around 3 o'clock in Hong Kong, not too far from the assembly park. This same is the Admiralty. Uh, some media would rudely to by the police request searching or something shouting something what Pamela maybe to clean up the media, and serious is very unlawful, and something naive speech to the media. They would talk something. It's not a law, but just an excuse, or maybe 我唔識用英文講啊呢個，即係佢核突到係講啲唔存在嘅法例，例如佢係警察，但係佢就話入境處條例咁樣咧。
So basically, the like the situation is quite like I think the police force once Asia Finance it's getting quite out of control. They made up. They actually sort of made up like law made up like some kind of like laws that say that you can't do this, that kind of stuff. They basically just want the media to be gone.
Yeah, yeah. There's not only one cases in Admiralty, just next to the assembly places, and the start fighting porn. I means I remember that is the police first to get inside the assembly and tell to the holder you need to dismiss this, and after that the police under attack by other protesters, because the uh, the 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 joiner would think about you have no rights to stop the assembly, because still can control, just the people want to keep move around in the assembly places. You can emergence like you can in a park, and too much people uh, to join inside. They want
Oh,
more people can get
it's
inside.
basically like because the park is too small compared with the people getting into the park, so they basically that they will be like, okay, some of the people will leave the park, leave the assembly area, and the others will get in. So it's kind of like well, like it's like a
Mm.
flowing, the
Would
people around is like
make a
flowing.
cycle lead the people to get out and get in, get out and get in, just within. That means the assembly will places will begin will include the park and a road to be a cycle lead. The people can out and come back, can out can come back, make a big circle to around the Hong Kong place, central, something like this. But the police try to stop them because they think if this acting becomes started, the police would can't control the people and would make too much people to planning to fight for them or attack the police. They think they are afraid. So and that moment they start firing the tear gas again.
Yeah, this
And
tactic of only like allowing the assembly but not the protest itself or any march is used very frequently by the Hong Kong police like recently. Yeah, because they have a lot of excuse to just stop the protest anytime or like the assembly anytime. And like the last time they didn't allow enough time for people to leave the place. And then after that they call it a illegal assembly, and that is the best excuse for them to just arrest anyone there and like use all the violence means that they could use just because people can't live within a very short time frame after they dismiss the assembly.
Like it was quite a tactic, quite commonly used to deter people from protesting. But in the end, it's just gonna like anger much more people.
So actually, the protest on Sunday was not only held in Hong Kong; it was an international one. So in many major cities around the world, they also were protesting for the same reason. Like, yeah, there were like 12 countries and 27 cities involved.
Also, about this IPCC, International Investigative Council, about police violence. We discussed before that last December they quit, but now there is more and more recognition comes from these officials. Would you like to discuss about this?
What do you just say in the second half of that? Would you mind just repeating again?
I meant that right now that we know such investigative councils actually lack any powers and they can't really do anything about it concerning stopping police violence. So now what is the solution to this, that holding these police officers accountable? Because as I said before, in 2014 police applying violence on citizens were actually held accountable. But now we are in 2020 and even if they shoot people on the streets, they can't be held accountable. And 5 years from now, it will be even worse. So what would be the solutions towards that?
I'm not sure we have a solution right now, but I think I can give a background of that. So in the movement in 2014, actually 7 police officers were held accountable for kicking one protester, bringing him to a dark corner, and then just putting violence on him. So that they were brought to the court, and I forgot what did they get punished about. Yeah, but at least they were held accountable, and then all their information were known to the public. So now we can have their names anytime we want to if we just search online and we would know who did that. However, now in this movement 5 years later, uh, the police were actually allowed by the government to cover their faces and also not show their ID. So whatever they are doing right now, they would not be held accountable. Yeah, not even only by the police force themselves not going to do anything with it. Even the media, we can't um like even the media, they cannot really recognize who is doing that, so they can't by their means search for the identity of that person. So what we're saying in the IPCC thing is that last year the expert in the IPCC were they have resigned because they did not find enough resources to actually investigate into into
Like they don't have the power. They don't have the power
for the
to get
investigation. Yeah,
yeah.
so they're trying to look into what is happening. They cannot ask for any evidence, even from the police force. So they are working inside the police force, but they don't have the power to ask for details about the police. And also, they do not have the power to put any charges on them and on any uh, legal way to um, get them punished for anything.
Yes, they can't subpoena documents or compel witnesses to testify. All they can do was that handle complaints forwarded by the
Yes.
police, and so that now it's just nothing is happening to hold them accountable.
Yeah, nothing is. There's nothing. Even though now the government is proposing to have a review. What is that?咩檢討委員會嗰個係林鄭嗰個咧，即係其中一個係話要，其中一個訴求係話要有一個獨立調查啊嘛，跟住佢就
The independence case from the Hong Kong government, SAR government to say that 咁佢點啊？
Oh wait, so instead from allowing a independent inquiry as is one of the main one of the demands of the protesters, they instead put up they will put up another organized another committee.
Yeah, committee, yes. They're proposing to put up a review committee, which is also entirely powerless. Yeah, that is what they're trying to replace the IPCC with. But that does not have any legal power as well.
Well, because the demands actually ask for independent inquiry, but they are trying to shift, trying to shift the focus to get that. They'll do a review into it, but no, it's not gonna get anybody. Then it's not gonna get anybody punished if let's say they can't find the evidence for it. They can find a very solid evidence for it.
Yeah, and
Actually,
also they're trying to shift the focus from the shifting the focus of the committee in the goal that we demand would be to have police held responsible for what they have done. However, they're shifting the focus into having the independence team of people handling the measure, like the issue, instead of the goal of having them responsible.
Actually, all these show that five demands and not one less is really necessary, and people should keep protesting and have their demands accepted. Just goes back to that.
Yeah, it's yeah, although it's like one of them, like the withdrawal of the bill, of the extradition bill, that which actually sparked this whole movement, has already this this like demand is already fulfilled, but because it's not one less. We not It's like Hong Kong. They don't only want the bill to be withdrawn. They actually wanted to have to the future not to happen not to happen with this kind of incident again. So they actually given out the not one less requirement.
Yeah, actually, the
So
five demands has have to work with each other in order to cover all the loopholes that the government can take in order to like grab people from the movement and arrest them and accuse them of something like rioting and so on. Yeah.
and by the way, right now there's actually also a protest going on in Hong Kong for uh for the incident where white clad mobs attack like attack without a target, attack any passerby in a metro station in Yunlong, which is quite far, which is a faraway residential area to the city center. So the people were in 6 months of so people were sort of like from the incident has happened like half a year from now, and people are protesting over there, but seems like and the police has come in again. There's a life going on over here.
Oh, is this breaking? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, it's breaking. So
It happened
basically there
for
was
quite some time today already.
so basically there was a oops. There was there originally there was a video there was a playing they were playing movies of of police brutality, reminding people of and the and the police actually like actually sort of like ignored what have those mobs done to innocent people. So so for now, and but it somehow got into clashes, and now the whole protest is halted. Like yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. So about that, they are actually having an assembly today for the incident that happened 6 months ago, which was called the 721 incident. So what happened is that on that
The 1st of July. Actually,
yeah, okay.
Can you explain just for our listeners what 721
Or
indicates?
yeah, so what happened that day 6 months ago was that there was a protest in the more no, in the main part of Hong Kong, in
In the
Yuan
city
Town Center.
area, western.
I post the Wikipedia on the channel
Hmm?
right here. Yeah, this is the 721 story in Hong Kong. What they talk about the terrorism attack by the fake news to make the original something older people to attack the normally citizens in at the Hong Kong places called Yuen Long, and
Yeah.
and yesterday right now it's over 12 o'clock right now. So yesterday is
I
the
think we'd
half
better talk
year,
about that incident first.
the day of the remembrance, the just in half years, and something council later to release the update news to the people after attacking and explain something puzzle from the news. That means police are not didn't know the happen will becomes just the police is a handshake with the white shirt people to attack the normal citizen.
Yeah, well,
Wait.
actually, like half year ago was that. So there was one protest in the central area of Hong Kong. So the dress code of the day was to wear an black, like black T-shirt and black jeans and so on.
Basically,
So that's
black
why.
bloc tactics.
Yeah, yeah. So
Uh,
that is how you can tell that they are protesters. So, however, this region Yuen Long, it's actually very far away. It's a residential area, kind of already in the rural. Yeah. So after the protest, it was like 10 at night. So everyone was already leaving, and they're just arriving home. So they were no longer protesting anymore. However, in that station, that train station, so a bunch of people dressing in white, uh, like we call them gangsters. Later, also
Yeah.
found out that they are actually gangsters. So they were arriving at the station, and then they just attack everyone there. Of course, also targeting mainly on those
uh,
who were dressing in black because they were protesters. And then later that day, the media realized that the gangsters who were in white were like greeted by the police, and also one pro-Chinese legislative council member at that time.
Yeah, there's another
uh,
name for them too. I just don't remember off the top of my head. I'm actually gonna go look it up and just giving up after I find the name.
Who?
The gangsters. There's another name for them. I'm gonna go look it up and
triads.
triads. Yeah, thank you,
Yeah,
thank you.
yeah. So basically, it's actually quite it was said that
You dropped out there.
Oh.
from they actually were told that they were very unhappy of the situation and of the movement going on, and they actually said they were they were they were doing justice by attacking people indiscriminately within the train station. And that and after, like, so basically at that time when these people attack their the people are actually like doing new they doubt the emergency line to the police, and it took and and the and the emergency dial line was actually not the first thing, it's not responding the second, and the police only came like after 39 minutes, and some of the nearby police station actually
Close the
like closed their gates when the people come to find them.
Yeah. And actually earlier, two police yeah, two of them actually went to the station, and then they saw what happened, and they turned away and leave.
Like that whole scene was like reported on on a media stream. So that's basically how the people started to lose trust on the police force, and they regarded it as an instrument of the state machine. It's basically one of the incidents that angered many of the Hong Kong people, and take them to the streets and supporting them, even supporting like these let's say radical protester, even though they don't agree with with the with the tactics they use, because the police for because there's a, they totally entirely lose trust on the system, on the only like the law, the lawbringers of the region. So basically now, yesterday, because now it's like 12 in the Hong Kong time zone. So yesterday it's like 6 months from since the incident.
Yeah, it's like mm. So it's like a assembly for remembrance in that region. However, now I just read that they actually have arrested a few of the district council members as well. Hmm. Do you guys have any updates?
Just right now, most focusly at the Yun Long, and they keep fighting right now. We cannot explode too much and too fast because they're speaking in Chinese and cannot flow in English very fast. So maybe it can be the next program topics.
You mean we move on to something else or what? Or should we talk about it later?
No, I've done because it's they're acting right now. I'm I because my place is not in Hong Kong, and I same just only can take a live stream, so I don't know how much to explore. When I'm talking about all around that I know this is before the 10 hours ago, as looking on the and looking on the Facebook and Twitter and something media news report, but this is the very upcoming days in Hong Kong protester right now. I would say that uh, the passion was a little bit get down, and people may be focused back to the system, but I hope that is not healthy to the protests, because when they look back to the normal system, that means you are breeding the system will keep running, and you can never can pull down this. I would I want to create something without the system, but I need the time to create it. It's not best time to release what we are doing or what we are preparing, because I may be interesting in talking about the MMM coming on this year 2020, because I hope that Hong Kong cannot uh, bring again MMM anymore. I hope we need to move the MMM to Taiwan in this year. So
Why is that?
mm, because you cannot to preparing in the November 5th in Hong Kong again in 2020. Yeah, the police was very focusing and they afraid the people to preparing this movement because in if this in Hong Kong movement right now can keep over years, that means cross over 2000 and 2020 5th of November in Hong Kong, it would be a very a big problem. This means the movement become 1 years. They would be changed to the yellow fit, and police was very focusedly what are anonymous doing within to Hong Kong. So I want to plan already the movement move to the other places. Maybe it can synchronize to running up the march, but I hope that Taiwan can make a greatly or how to say that it may be the better place in Hong Kong to say that. Maybe the topics can talk about in Hong Kong and Taiwan. It's not a problem. That means, but I mean the march should be preparing around in Asia, including Japan, Korean, and Hong Kong, and Taiwan. No, yeah, but without the Hong Kong because I think there's not safety for the joiner. Seriously. So this that means I have too much things to preparing, research and reading. So I in this time right now I don't have anything want to explain too much. Sorry about it.
Yeah, no problem. That's quite a long way to go until the end of the year. Yeah.
Can we talk about the what is going on with the movement currently? Maybe a short update about it. Not from the protests, but in general. For example, right now the movement currently is motivated by anger towards police brutality. Do we agree on this?
Wait a minute. Sorry, you. For in the so in sorry. In the journal for right now, it's mostly they have doing or they have doing a supporting some economy for democracy that they will support the shops who actually supported the movement by either by a labor strike or actually giving hiring those people who are arrested with in the movement. Yeah. So they the people would get to spend instead of mm, just casually eating in other buying their daily needs from any other shop, they would actually try to to visit the shop who support their movement, to spend their money there instead to vote with their wallets, if that's what you're
And
saying.
also, another thing is that here, because it's going to be Lunar New Year very soon. So actually, the Lunar New Year markets are um, over the years only almost held by the government in the Victoria Park. That is the major one, and the other ones were also always staying the same in the same places held by the same people. And this year, actually, they have changed into holding those within their own communities, and not with the very big organizations. So it is like the yellow economic circle also spread into holding like this kind of activities instead of only staying in their own shops. Yeah, so another update about this yellow economic circle thing is that there was one app that a lot of Hong Kong people use, which is called What's Gap. So the features shops and also mention the like whether the shop is a yellow shop or a blue shop, which the yellow would mean that they are pro-democracy or they support the movement, and the blue one would be supporting police and opposing to the movement. So they like give in like categorize shops in that way. This app was taken down like either yesterday or today, I'm not sure. Yeah. So the tool for them to distinguish which shops they would prefer to go to was taken down.
So actually, they are afraid of such policies.
What policy?
So that they are afraid of people taking such actions to take back the economic environment and have these regional policies under their control, so that actually monopolies can't control land, education, banks. That actually small communities take back their power.
Yeah, I would say the government, even the mainland, like the Chinese government, they are also afraid that to see this happening.
Like because the effects are quite long term. Let's say if when the Hong Kong people are used to it, the effects are long term. Because the Chinese government, the Chinese business are not gonna earn, like they're not gonna they don't have, they lost their economic influence in Hong Kong, so they sort of can't control, they sort of lose control on what's going on, what they can control in Hong Kong originally, and actually by the time that this economic circle get a bit famous, the the Chinese media was actually attacking this idea quite vigorously.
This will work eventually. If citizens persist, this solution will work to pressure Chinese government and Hong Kong officials so that they stop pressuring citizens and start listening to them. So in fact, this way lobbying and monopolies taking over could be reduced.
Yeah, in this way.
So you mentioned before that actually it starts at the very base level of choosing which restaurants and small shops to go and not choose to go to these big companies, shops and such places.
Yeah, as well for the products that they buy. Like even though they might be buying from like a large supermarket, they would also avoid to buy products that is made in China. Yeah.
And so it's a good start, and we can actually call people to follow such habits and maybe actually see which banks are supporting this system and list them, cancel their credit cards, and move their accounts to local banks.
Yeah, that could be a good idea, even though I'm not sure like whether they are actually local banks in Hong Kong. Like there are a lot of local banks in other places around the globe, but I'm really not sure about whether there are local banks in Hong Kong.
There will be banks founded in Hong Kong, but unfortunately, I'm quite sure some of them they have their shares and in the hands of Chinese. Yeah. So either one way, it's a lot a lot of Hong Kong's economy has been bought by the Chinese and by the Chinese government. So it's so now the people are trying to take back first starting by restaurants, now expanding to products
Hmm.
and services.
How does the Chinese government actually treat you if you have like if you put your savings in like foreign banks and things? Because credit cards are like global, right? And like all banks almost have like credit cards and stuff. So technically, you could put your money in like a bank in another country, but is this even allowed in China? Such things. I do
In
it
China,
myself. Like I mean, I live in the Netherlands, but I also have like a German bank account next to my Netherlands thing. I have just like a German account. I put some money in it, and like if my country collapses, I always have some bucks left, right?
yeah,
Yeah,
that is
very
actually
important to diversify.
yeah, that is possible both in China and in Hong Kong. However, it's getting stricter.
Okay, so it's
Yeah,
actually
so
getting more strict. It's not getting more open. It's getting more strict.
yes, so actually when the movement have just started, people were suggesting to take their money out of the Bank of China in Hong Kong and then put it somewhere else. And then that time was when people would also want to create like overseas account, and they find it possible with HSBC, so they can create an overseas like offshore HSBC account in Hong Kong. So a lot of people were doing that. However, after some time, the policy in HSBC got straighter and did not allow so many people to do that. So they have a limit for the money that you can put there. So if you don't meet the limits, it's not like if I didn't remember it wrongly. So you need quite a big amount of money to create that account. So it's not like anyone
Yeah,
can do it right. Yeah.
yeah. HSBC is a UK bank, and of course, UK was in the past very important in Hong Kong, I guess.
And that is just like easier method because you can like straighten uh, make the policy more strict.
Yeah.
You can actually just sign some papers in Hong Kong, and you don't even have to personally do anything. You can just submit papers to your local HSBC, and they will do everything for you. But not anymore right now.
Yeah.
So maybe it is just the right time for Hong Kong small business owners to start local banking systems.
Yeah, I saw like a Uri posted about the whole Bitcoin thing. I was also thinking about it. Like people are looking at alternatives.
Yeah, plus the whole HAP event is coming up, so I mean it's guaranteed to go up in value. It's like you don't get many guarantees in life, but the way Bitcoin's economic code is designed, it's designed to go up in value because it cuts the inflation rate. Um,
It's a
and
constant
it
deflation because you have a max amount. So
no, yeah. It cuts the inflation rate. So the inflation rate goes from 3.4%, I think now, to 1.8%. So like it's a big deal, man. Big deal. Most currencies in the world have a inflation rate of 2%. So Bitcoin will be, um, I think this don't quote me on this. I think that it's going to be the first currency with a inflation rate of 1.8%, under the genuine or genuine? No, that's not the word I want. The
Fiat,
general. Yeah, under the general fiat inflation rate of 2%. So I mean, once Bitcoin goes under that 1.8%, and we're into like the point percents, the decimals, when we're in the decimal percentage, is where you're going to see Bitcoin become more stabilized and less extreme volatility.
Yeah, but isn't it true that that there is only inflation now in Bitcoin because there is still new Bitcoin being mined, but at some point it ends and there isn't even any inflation anymore?
Yeah, it'll end in like 2000, I think 2200 or something like that. But I mean, we're not going to be alive for that. But the thing is, like, every 4 years, Bitcoin's inflation rate cuts in half, and the mining coins that are being mined, it cuts in half. So we're going from, I think it's 12.5 right now, to I think it's like 6.25. I think that's it. I just don't quote me on it. Look it up, make sure, but not 100% on those numbers. But anyway, it still stands that every 4 years, the Bitcoins being mined gets cut in half, and on top of that, the inflation rate goes down. So I mean, yeah, it's really a good investment for people. Even though Bitcoin has dropped, I think it was like 60 or 70% since the all-time high, somewhere around there, right?
Yeah, but that's just like a real bubble that some people just jump in it and that dumps, but it has to stabilize again, and then it's
Yeah, it is a bubble. The way that the tech is designed, it's designed to create a bubble, and the reason being is that the less inflation rate you have, the less money it takes to push the price up. So, going from like 3.8% to 1.8%, right? If we get the same volume that we had at 20K, we'll be at like 50K, around that area. Like, it's a big deal that people don't realize how Bitcoin works. And, if you put in just like $50 under 10K, that could be a significant sum of money in the future.
Yeah. I was talking with Uwe about the whole Bitcoin thing. Like, yeah, it's true, it's dropping now a bit, but I think what I was saying to Uwe too, probably it spiked a lot during the Iran-USA crisis thing, because when people get scared, like they have like a lot of investments on the stock market, right? But then they get scared and they jump into gold, silver, or in cryptocurrency, and yeah, gold, silver is also it is easier to invest in than in the past, but it is still a lot harder than crypto. So if you would quickly say,
we're still up, and actually, there's a lot of new businesses that for gold and silver that are now starting to accept Bitcoin, so you can swap your Bitcoin into gold or silver. So there's that. And the other thing that I want to say is that this year, Bitcoin is going to become exceptionally easy for people to obtain. The reason being is I have sources in the Silicon Valley and also some within Wall Street. And things are going to become a lot more easier for people to obtain when it comes to cryptocurrency, because these big guys are getting involved.
Yeah, well, Facebook is also an example of that. Facebook makes it easier too. Even if we don't like Facebook, they do make it easier for people to actually buy their crypto, and that crypto is of course also exchangeable to Bitcoin. So, yeah.
Well, no, I don't know how they're gonna do that, to be honest. It hasn't. The thing is, Libra hasn't been released yet, and they've been having a lot of problems with regulators. So we don't really know the future of Libra's coin and what they're going to allow in regards to that. I
Okay,
kind
that's
of
fair.
thought they were going to go the route of using Libra to exchange for like their services that they have, like Uber, Uber Eats, like those types of services that they promote on the website, right? And those are actually partners with Libra, as far as I know, unless the partners change. Um, so what they could do is they could basically allow people to exchange Libra for these services, and if they do that, then I doubt they'll allow people to exchange the coin off platform. So they could do something like that, but it'll be very interesting to see where they go with it. So yeah, it's a really difficult situation with what Facebook is doing. But in regards to purchasing Bitcoin, you can sign up for an eToro account now, and you can easily trade Bitcoin.
Oh yeah, the
Or
eToro, yeah.
yeah, eToro is becoming very popular now because they're using Alec Baldwin. Like he's all over the fucking ads for eToro and cryptocurrency. It's pretty funny actually. He's constantly saying like, so you missed out on Amazon and Google. Well, have you heard of Bitcoin and Ethereum? Like, if you would have bought those years ago, you would have been rich, right? And yeah, it's true. If you got into Bitcoin when it was like $1, or Ethereum when I think the lowest that I saw it was like 2 something, right? If you would have been able to accumulate back then, and you knew that it would have went up as much as it did, you'd have like off like perfect for life. But there's still opportunities in cryptocurrency. It's all about finding the legitimate opportunities out there, because there are a lot of fucking scams, and that's the problem with decentralization, is you are going to have a ton of scams. But yeah, it's all about doing your own research and looking into things.
Yeah, and yeah, like what I was saying, like you have during crisis and things, like people jump out of the regular stock market and they jump into like the gold, silver, but also in crypto. And why crypto? Because crypto is super fast, right? And you can buy a Bitcoin and like literally in seconds these days. It will take some time for it to transfer, but you actually will have bought it. And yeah, that is why you always see, like with the Iran USA thing, and you see like a huge spike, of course, and then you see it a little drop down, but of course there will be a new crisis and it will happen again and again. And yeah, this is like this is what you will see. Market is not huge yet, so it is still very volatile. It means that some big investors can easily swing it around to like low and high, but in the end it will stabilize, of course. Yeah, like how to make money during a war. We can't actually give this investment advice. I think I have to say, even if you mention eToro or something, you have to say it is possible you lose all your money. So be careful.
Yeah, that's a disclaimer everybody gives. But the thing is, it's like, if you want to profit in a fucking war, buy Lockheed Martin, because that's the number one war indicator that a war is coming. If Lockheed Martin is going up in price, a war is coming.
Oh my God, Lockheed Martin.
Yeah, well, I'm not. Look, all right, I would never fucking buy Lockheed Martin and profit off a fucking war. Like, that takes a lot of karma coming back at you for buying a stock like Lockheed Martin and profiting off of other people's deaths, right? But if you really want to oil Lockheed Martin, those are the 2 stocks that are going to go up in a war. But as far as like the crypto price goes, we're actually holding in a critical zone, and regardless of whether the price moved because of Iran, or the price moved because of the trend was changing in Bitcoin, we're still holding around 8,600 right now. And as long as we hold 8,200, it can bounce back up very fast. And I think that we're heading for the 10K within the next couple weeks for sure. I don't see us going into a downtrend from here. I mean, the halving is right around the corner in May 2020. So, yeah, I don't see us going into a downtrend from here. But I mean, do your own research and all that jazz. But the thing is Bitcoin has never failed to go back to its all-time high, and a lot of people doubt Bitcoin, but I think after this next run up, I think that's where things are going to get very, very interesting for crypto. I think that so far this past couple years that cryptocurrency has been around, I think it's been like 10 or 11 years now. I think it's been a test. It's been an experiment, and the experiment is getting to the point where it's reaching critical mass. Right now, the people in cryptocurrency is very, very small. We're talking like a few million, and I think that within the next couple years, and after Bitcoin goes past 20K, is where you're going to start seeing more people pour in. It's going to go through the whole bubble effect again. It's going to pop. It's going to go through the same cycle it goes through. But I think the next time it pops, I don't think it's going to go this low again. I think we're going to stay above 20K. Because Bitcoin has never gone back after the next cycle to its lower than its all-time high from the previous cycle. So, yeah.
Dude, they should seriously hire you as an advertiser.
What?
They should seriously hire you as an advertiser for Bitcoin. Really.
Yeah, well, they don't have a budget. Like, the thing is Bitcoin's decentralized, so I mean, like, there's no advertisement besides people talking about it.
I was kind of a joke, but I mean, like, you are always so excited about this stuff, and I mean, it makes me want to buy even this stuff. So yeah.
Well, yeah, because I understand the technology, and the project Bitcoin was a cypherpunks project, and everybody tries to say who's Satoshi. Well, Satoshi's was the cypherpunks. It was Tim May, Adam Back, and a whole bunch of other fucking people that I can't remember off the top of my head.
Yeah, don't forget
cypherpunks. Isn't Satoshi?
Don't forget cypherpunks like Applebaum and Assange, right?
Was Applebaum a part of cypherpunks?
Yeah,
if he was, then yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. See, that makes sense. The thing is, it was a group project within the cypherpunks, and a lot of people did try to figure out who Satoshi is. You'll never figure out who Satoshi is because it was we are all Satoshi, meaning the cypherpunks were all involved in the development of Bitcoin in multiple different ways. And the thing is that this little fraudster, Craig Wright, he was involved with the cypherpunks mailing list, and he knows that Bitcoin was created by the cypherpunks, but he's trying to take credit for it. I have no idea if he was actually involved in any type of way, but I know that Julian Assange fucking hates his guts and has exposed him multiple times over and over again as a fraudster. So do Julian Assange's job in exposing Craig Wright, because he can't right now, like.
Yeah.
I mean, that guy's suing everybody, but fuck him, because he's the biggest scammer in the world, trying to say that he's Satoshi, and he can't unlock the private key wallet. I'm pretty sure that Assange has it, because I think that Tim May, before he died, gave Assange a whole bunch of Bitcoins, and I think that the Bitcoins that he gave to him was actually Satoshi's wallet. I could be fucking wrong, right? But I think that Assange had a influence in Bitcoin being developed in some form of a way. Number one, because he was friends with Tim May, like best friends with Tim May until he died. And yeah, it's a very interesting story when it comes to Bitcoin being developed and everything. Like, there's a blueprint document out there for the cypherpunks which discusses uh, digital cash. It's so obvious that they made it too. It's like they made so many failed projects for Bitcoin. I think like Hashcash was one. But the thing is, that Bitcoin's the one that took off. And when Bitcoin actually was developed in the early years, Satoshi, the account that was Satoshi, right? It's literally said for WikiLeaks not to use Bitcoin because it was too new and it would have destroyed it right away because it wasn't enough decentralization of nodes all over the world. So the governments would have been easily able to shut it down. Now they can't. They can't shut down Bitcoin if they tried because there's so many nodes all over the world. You would have to raid every single node. It's a Pandora's box that's been opened, and it's really up to people if they want to get involved and purchase into Bitcoin and really take control of their own financial freedom.
Okay, and on that note, we should mention that there are protest updates, and we should give them on air. So I don't know. I think Uwe wanted to talk. I saw him lighting up before, so maybe give some updates on the protests. We mentioned financial freedom, so.
Get what?
Should give some updates on the protests. I think.
I'm not. I'm just checking on the news, but I keep want to hear your speech, so I'm not read too much. But they say that the news say you see the blood on the street. It is it's the past posted on the chat room of the live stream. They said and after the uh, remember date of 721 and police and so I'm not sure what happened with the story in detailly, but they say the police to catch the young boy and then the other people to help him, or maybe they send some counselor in the in Yuen Long and want to support them, but still keep arrest. But this is the very updated situation, but not sure, not really clear what would follow it, because I almost see live stream was something stop and start because the police tried to attack the media.
Okay, so there's a very rough description. So basically, there's a 15-year-old teenager. He get surrounded by a bun by 10 about like 10 around 10 like undercover officers, and he got and the district it is the the district council member try to help him help him, but in the end the teenager was like brought into the cordon and sprayed, being pepper sprayed. The teenager asked the first aid for help, but the police actually stopped and say that if he needed, he can call the ambulance, and he was arrested and brought away without, and the district council member was not was also attacked, but he didn't get any first aid. So yeah, it's one of the it's again another police brutality case happening in Hong Kong, basically.
Yeah, and also in the same assembly today, the reporters of one of the okay, so some of the reporters were actually stopped by the police and were said that they have to search everything that they have, and also they were accused of like Paul White sẽ會安寧應該點講？Disrupting the social order, and yeah, we're told to like shut up and say that they might be arrested, like the reporters. Yeah.
Okay, so they're not just targeting protesters anymore; they're also targeting media now.
Yes.
Maybe. I'm not sure because after the university protest wars in Hong Kong, I think just the date around in November in 2009, I think the passion was very dropped around in the Roto and the Blackboard to fight on the street. But only right now what left is the police how to attack the normal people, and police try to clean up the people from maybe the news, the social council in Hong Kong. We the council what got three generation. One, the top is the government, and the second is the lawfully councilator, and the
Legislative council.
lower little party is a little bit council. It mean the so just only the society, a smaller council. But the first thing we can see most in the police would incite the lower council to moderating or maybe to uh, to take care the assembly with the smaller council. That means they don't know what it means. The police to focus their you would think the police was the protecting people or kept the 即係維持秩序咁，但係而家佢個狀態係調翻轉入去搞人哋嗰個區議會咯。
So even though we have the district council, like with the members that we the people have voted for, instead of like cooperating with the council, the police instead arrest them, and also did not they do not try to like maintain the social order, but instead they would interrupt with the order inside the protests, and yeah, also to yeah, they are censoring the media in the way that just now I mentioned. They say that they are interrupting with the social order, and say that they could be arrested. Like in the media, they're doing with the media they're doing that, and also for the council members, they're not working with them. They try to arrest them as well. So like, if you're doing something that could show, like if you have the power, like the media and the district council members, to hold the police accountable, you would be taken care of.
Sounds so dark too. You will be taken care of.
Yeah, but that is
that's like things that the criminals in power say.
It's like Cosa Nostra.
Oh yeah, that too. I think more so the Clintons.
Yeah.
Like, it's a little off topic and not on topic, but the recently in the U.S., Google. There was a guy who testified against Google, Robert Epstein, and one of the AGs, AGs, said to him that I think you'll die in a few months, and then his wife was killed in a car crash. So make of that what you will. But anyway, back to Asia topics.
Well, yeah.
Actually,
Go ahead. Go ahead.
so very similar to the case that you have just mentioned, there are a lot of very suspicious and weird deaths in Hong Kong, like the entire time. So
Yeah.
recently there were two that really caught the public's attention. So one of them being a couple of 60-ish. Let me just look for that. Whatever. Yeah. Okay. So a couple of 60 something. They were found dead in a very expensive hotel in Hong Kong, in the Tsim Sha Tsui area. So they were,
Okay.
yeah, they were found dead in their swimsuit, and inside their hotel, the will was found in both Chinese and English scripts. That is so weird. Yeah, saying that they were disappointed about the situation in Hong Kong. That's why they are taking their own lives.
Interesting. Okay. Now we've also discussed before on this show that some protesters have vanished from the protest, and that there are these allegations that some of the police stations are basically like torture centers for the protesters, right?
Yes. One of them particularly famous. Yeah.
Yeah, let's get into that a little bit and discuss that. I know that Ood has some information on that because he gave it before, so if you want to discuss that, Ood.
I mean, because there's one of the it's actually not a police station. It's actually a detain center that used to detain like illegal immigrants from crossing border, like from China, because it's very near to the border, very near between the to the border of China. The location is very near. So basically there was so basically for some of the protesters were held over there. There were gang rape cases going on inside. So there were a few people who had to few will come out and said that there were gang rapes by the police inside that detention center, and along with there are few very mysterious deaths in by drowning. Basically there are a lot of like cases which cannot be which we can't that the response from the police are actually very suspicious. Yeah.
Yeah, actually, I'm not sure whether you have heard about Simon Chang.
Oh, that.
Yeah.
He was he's a
former consulate member, and then he was arrested by the Hong Kong police, and then later he was released, and he was talking about his entire experience. He said that he was brought back to China and was also tortured
brought
there.
to China.
Yes.
And there was a yes and they were saying that he's offered the option, because he was threatened to what do you call that uh to say that he committed acts that would threaten the security of the nation, then so he would get like so he's gonna get like televisionized and in the online for and saying that he did the such acts to threaten the social security. But in so instead of that, he said okay. He chose to like recognize that he he chose to recognize
Con-
that
confess?
he
Or what?
yeah, confess that he is it the illegal prostitution, that
Oh
kind
yeah,
of yeah,
yeah.
that kind of criminal, that kind of crime, so he can get out of the situation, and later when he get back to Hong Kong, he just like he told all the truth that how the Chinese how the Chinese government, the Chinese agencies tortured him. So it's actually quite a common way for the Chinese government agencies to threaten people of confessing their own crimes.
Yeah, and this is not the first time. So it is known that the Chinese government would arrest people or just capture people out of nowhere and then bring them back to China and then make them do a video of confession saying that they have did something that had violated the law. That's why they were in China. And also, usually in these kind of cases, they would like message their family saying that I am safe now, so you don't have to worry about me. Something just like that. Yeah, and then later they would, like the government would release a video of them confessing about their like quoted crime, even though a lot of us do not believe that they have actually committed those things. Yeah, so especially in this case in Simon Chang, he said that after he was brought to China, he was tortured physically, and then also he saw others who would very likely be protesters in Hong Kong who were also brought there. And then in that detention center, also in China, he was given pictures, and then also was told that he has to identify them. So they were cross-validating the protesters' identity. Yeah, so obviously the Chinese government has something to do with the protests, and that matches with what many people think, that the police force in Hong Kong are not only including the members of the Hong Kong police, but also those from China. So they are working together.
It's deep silence. I'm just reading the chat meanwhile, so I'm a little
I'm
distracted.
uploading the last video. Oh, you cannot show. Uh, it's popular around in Hong Kong. People with Telegram with the Telegram message. That means this is the other video to showing the people arrest the people to move, but we think this is the fake news. But I want to look around the original videos with the Hong Kong teenagers. They have arrested and sent to the train. But咩啊？MPP 唔係嘛？
Yeah, go on, go on.
Oh, sorry, sorry. Maybe I said something wrong. Yeah, yeah, yeah. 天堂路的表。嗯 and give me a second. I need to search. You can keep going. Give me a second. Sorry. Oh.
What were you talking about just now?
I have no idea. Just take a look. Take a look what you can go through.
Maybe we can start talking about the Wuhan pneumonia. Meanwhile,
Okay. Oh, actually, I would want to like go back to the death thing.
You mean these strange deaths of people?
Yes.
I mean, they always claim it is suicides, but it's actually not. It's just always in a strange way.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes, this one.
Okay, well, for our listeners, we just posting all kind of videos of the protests and the stuff that's happening, so we can talk about that afterwards. No, sorry, Smile. I already said that about the suicides thing, but yeah.
Oh, the bee suicide.
Yeah, and the way people die is usually like hanging or fucking. They shot themselves or the odd car accident. It's all things that my former source and friend, a whistleblower who came out of the FBI, senior agent Ted L. Gunderson, spoke about years ago, saying that they have these types of capabilities. That this is the way they get rid of people. You know, that's a former Fed saying that. So I mean, that's a big deal. But no matter what region of the world you're in, you know, you can apply the same thing to that situation. In most cases, if somebody's happy and they just suddenly commit suicide, it's probably not a suicide. Or in the case of Jeffrey Epstein, you know, if they're facing like all these crimes and can expose people, probably not a suicide.
Yeah, does that happen often in like other places? For example, the US and so on?
Yeah, it happens. It happens quite a lot, depending on the situation and what. For instance, Gary Webb, a journalist, was about to expose international drug trafficking connected to the CIA, and he ended up killing himself, shooting himself in the head. I don't remember how many times, but that's one instance. Another instance is another journalist, Danny Casolaro, who I've written about, and I have way more information to hand out to the public at a later time. He was covering a story on what he called the octopus, and he was also involved in looking into the Promise scandal. and he ended up cutting his wrist 10 times on each wrist in a bathtub. So, like, first off, that's impossible. Second off, yeah, it's obvious that it was a fucking murder. So yeah, it does happen a lot.
Yeah, in the USA, they sometimes shoot themselves in the head like 10 times too, right? That's suicide.
Well, the bankers, I documented the whole banker suicide thing up until the point where I personally had my tires sliced and brake line cut.
Yeah, but notice how do you shoot yourself 10 times in the
Right,
head? Like you shoot yourself one time, and how do you manage to do the other 9 times when your brain is like
right. Yeah, right, yeah. And my favorite one was when they said that a banker shot himself a few times in the head with a nail gun, and I'm thinking to myself, one shot with a nail gun, you're gonna be, you're literally gonna have your nerves not be able to pull that trigger anymore, right? Like, it's not happening. Like, but they tried to say that a banker, I forget where, but they tried to say that a banker killed himself with a nail gun, shooting himself a few times on the head. And I'm like, well, first off, that would be the most painful fucking suicide ever. Like, if you're gonna kill yourself, don't use a nail gun. Use a real gun. But like, not fucking suicide advice. But yeah, like, if you're gonna kill yourself, you're not gonna use a nail gun. It's gonna be too fucking painful. Like, the first shot, it's not going to kill you. It's just going to cause immense pain to you. Like, you're going to be in fucking immense pain, just bleeding out of your head.
Of course.
Nobody's going to do that shit.
No, you would jump off a building or something. That's the easiest thing, right?
Yeah, right. That's more so. But the thing was, it was like the banker killed himself with a nail gun, and his fucking family hung themselves or some shit. I don't remember the exact story, but the thing is, it's like, yeah, it's so obvious that wasn't a fucking suicide.
Okay,
Nobody kills himself with a nail gun.
In the Netherlands, we don't really have these things. I think I can only think of one very strange event, and that was we mentioned it on the 9/11 special episode in the past. It was about Daniel Wenko. Probably you know him, AK. It was the explosives expert from the Netherlands, from my country, who said these buildings could not have collapsed without controlled demolition. So, and he talked about this, and his videos went like viral and stuff. And shortly after, he dies in a mysterious way. He gets a car accident. Yeah, so he gets a car accident. He crashes into a tree, and then the first thing all the media says, he was drunk behind the wheel. But they didn't mention the fact that this guy didn't drink alcohol. He never drank alcohol.
Yeah. See, that's like the smear tactic. It's like, oh, he died in a car accident. Oh, he was drunk behind the wheel.
Yeah, the media was reporting it, but he wasn't drunk because he didn't even drink alcohol. But he crashed for a weird way. He crashed, and you just mentioned about people cutting your brakes and stuff. Yeah, he died probably in the same other way, and I think that's safe to say. So.
Yeah, I had my brake line cut, and all of my tires sliced. The thing is, that it wasn't like sliced enough to the point where the air was let out of it until I got on a highway, and I was driving on the highway, and my tires just all popped at once, and I had no brakes. I thought I was gonna die. Somehow managed to get the car to slow down and stop by driving off the bend into they have these walls in the US that they put up. They're supposed to be for sound. I drove off into like one of them and like slowed down. I was going just slow enough to stop the car. My mechanic who looked at it asked me who the fuck I pissed off. Literally said to me, "Who did you piss off? This was like a professional done job." Like, looked at the brake line cut. It was like, yeah, it is a professional done job. And the only thing I was covering at the time was those banker suicides. So, yeah, I think that really had something to do with it. And I also talked to a lawyer, not months, a month prior. This happened in January 2013. In December 2012, I was talking to a lawyer who was showing me all these cases that were going through the New York Supreme Court. And basically was saying that they had cases that was accusing the banks of rigging Libor, rigging the price of gold, silver, oil, all the commodities, all that, silver, gold, and all that. And he showed me the lawsuits. I saw them online. So they were real. And after that, I never heard from that guy again, number one. Number two, my brake line was cut and my tires were sliced. Number three, I think around that same time, there was a very weird killing of a CNBC exec's kids by a nanny. Basically, the nanny sliced their throats. And yeah, it was a very, very interesting time period around that time. And I think that me talking to that lawyer and him handing me that evidence is what spurred my tires and brake line being cut. So
Yeah, so for the Chinese government to do similar things, yeah, it wouldn't be
Right.
unique. It wouldn't be like they are much worse than other governments. These people do this, and especially to people who are higher ups and stuff, they know too much, so they get suicided. That's what we call it. Like they say it's suicide, but it's just murder. But yeah, to activists, it's kind of like unique, I think. But it does happen. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, actually, in here it's not only just activists, just like normal people found that in a very weird way. So, like, it is speculated that it is from the tortured protesters who were taken to the detention center. So they were tortured too much that they died, and then that's the way how they think police were covering the thing up. So, for example, we have a case in the 13th of January. So just the video that I have posted just now. So in the district called Yaotong. So there, the video showed that a person who looks lifeless, dressing in black, was, I don't know, what do you call it? Like, do you call it climbing out of the building? But that person seems lifeless, so just like hanging out of a very tiny window. And then there's also no movement of any sort of that lifeless body. And then after that, sometime the entire body dropped down. So other than being a suicide, this looks more like someone throw the body out.
I mean, like, who would actually wanted to squeeze through that door, through that window when he wanted to commit suicide?
Yeah, that window actually was a very small ventilation window, so it's not supposed to be a real window, just for ventilation, so some air could come in and out. So the size would be around, I guess, 20 to 30 centimeters in height, and then the width would around 40, I guess. Yeah, so it's very
Interesting.
unlikely that someone would suicide from that tiny window.
yeah, really, you'd have to be fucking skinny as hell to get through that. Yeah, that makes.
And another thing is that that person who suicide didn't live there. That is not the building that the person lived in.
That's a red flag.
Yeah.
Wait, isn't that place is it's one of the living like like what you call it, the living apartments of the the uniform, wait, the
Yes,
forces.
yes. 紀律部隊宿舍。
Yeah, what you call that?
Uh, I'm not sure the correct translation, but that building actually is a residence of um some force in Hong Kong. So usually in those residence,
For uniform for forces, like who that
yeah,
wear
like
uniforms
police,
basically.
yeah, like police and firefighters would live in those residences, and that person suicided there. So and also another weird thing about that is that um uh when they found him on the ground, there's also a backpack with him. So if you're gonna suicide from that very tiny window, why would you carry your backpack with you? For what?
So shall we move on with another subject?
Yeah, we should. You mentioned talking about that virus thing because there was some stuff about it. I think other countries now are like blocking passengers and things from the region, right? I mean, on
Yeah, so
airports, I
you
think.
want the what? What airport?
I think it was certain airports that which are now blocking passengers from that region. And I read something about that.
The United States airports like San Francisco, I think, and other international airports are actually checking passengers coming from Wuhan.
Yeah, so that's actually the Wuhan pneumonia, a new kind of virus that got spread in China. So
Yeah.
until 15th of this month, the government in China released that there were only like 40 something, 41 or 45 diagnosed cases inside Wuhan, this city. Even though it is very populated, seemingly it didn't spread very quickly. So it was like slow pace spreading, even though the virus is new. And at that time they completely denied the fact that no, like they just denied that the virus could be spread from human to human.
Yep.
Yeah, so the number just boomed yesterday on the 20th. So yesterday they just released the so basically between these days from the 15th until the 20th, uh, they didn't release any new case. So no information on that until yesterday. And yesterday suddenly they said there were 163 or 36 cases in this city.
Well, no, they said that there was more than 200 reported cases.
Yeah, that's like the total, but 100 something like only in the 2 days.
139. They said it was 139 new cases, and 200 reported total cases. But a lot of people are disputing this figure, and scientists with the MRC, Center for Global Infectious Disease Analysis at the Imperial College in London, warned people that the true number of those affected is likely far
Right.
higher than what is officially being acknowledged.
Like 1,700 or so on.
Yeah, they said that. Yeah, they said that the true number they believe is above 1,000 cases. Now this is very worrying because they believe that this is becoming into an international incident. Several airports, not just in the U.S., but several airports around the globe, have now begun screening travelers that are coming from Wuhan. And I've heard, and I didn't report on this, but I've heard that some um, airports are also screening people coming from just China, and not just Wuhan. Now,
Yeah.
the video that was posted online that was picked up by Yahoo News that shows domestic flights in Wuhan were being scanned for the virus by medical personnel in hazmat suits. And yeah, that's a very worrying thing.
But it's at least good that they're releasing information, starting to actually cope with the thing. Like a few
Yeah.
days before, they were just denying.
Yep.
And since cases internationally were found, like in Japan and Thailand, and also in Korea, then now they really have to, like, give out real information.
Because they can't cover up already. They're unable to cover up the incident, so they just can so the only thing they can do is just to report it. But well, report with smaller, with one magnitude smaller.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so actually now in Wuhan, the information was released today on the 21st. So now in Wuhan, the group tours are organized by travel agencies. Traveling outside Wuhan to other places would be forbidden.
Yeah.
So that's very nice, even though I don't think it helped much because this is the time when people individually go back to home. Because Wuhan is kind of considered a big city. A lot
Yeah,
of the
11 million.
Yeah, so I bet a lot of people were not born there. They just went there for work. So it is very likely that they're gonna go home for the new year. So,
Yep.
yeah, that policy does something, but didn't really help.
And what's scary about that is that um, hundreds of millions are expected to travel abroad within China's provinces on and no, I'm sorry. Hundreds of millions are expected to travel both abroad and within China's provinces on trains and planes to celebrate the new year. So, you know, with such a virus going viral, you know, forgive my pun, but you know, it's a very dangerous situation. Very dangerous.
Because the Chinese New Year is the celebration started 24th, right? That's in 3 days from now.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, and also they have a very long holiday year for the Chinese New Year.
Yep.
The mainland.
Can you also actually describe this illness, what it is and how it spread?
Okay.
Can you just say it again? Describe it.
Describe the illness. It's actually it started as a zoonotic disease. It's called zoonotic disease when it spreads from animals to humans. But now it's coarse because it spreads from humans to humans too.
Yep. Yep. And the bad thing about this virus is that some people have exhibited acute respiratory infection symptoms with pneumonia symptoms, fever, cough, and chest pains, while others haven't had those symptoms. So it's a very strange virus. And scientists are baffled by this virus. They aren't sure how to contain it and deal with it fully, even though that the Chinese government is saying that they know how to contain it and that they can contain the virus. There's other people in the international science community that are saying that they're baffled by this virus and its genomes. So
Yeah,
that's just another thing.
that the virus could be already mutating or have already mutated
Right.
because of how different the cases could be, and also the point that you say that they say that they could control like the situation. that is so proven false because one of the medical experts in the team in Wuhan actually caught the disease himself.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
Actually, 15 medical workers caught the disease dealing in Wuhan with patients. So
Yeah.
that alone
But-
just says, they don't have control of it. Like,
yeah. And
and I
what
also
that
go
other
ahead.
person was not just was not just a medical staff. He was actually one of the experts. So just like the research team people.
And this disease is actually a coronavirus by nature, and it spread from Huanan seafood market when livestock were put together in a box, and the conditions weren't really hygiene.
Yeah, that is actually a very like they have these kinds of markets across the country in China, and they sell all sorts of animals. So you can buy like foxes, cats, and dogs. What I'm saying is for like consumption for eating,
Yeah.
and also like what is that? Uh, yeah.
And when the illness started, they made a big mistake by not separating the sick animals, but probably kept selling them.
Well, the market that they believe it was a market in Wuhan, which has now been shut down, and they believe that the virus actually came from this fresh food market, but they don't have full details to support that because they haven't fully determined that. So, I mean, they think that it came from this market, but they're not 100% sure.
Yeah, just now I wanted to say they even have peacocks there for selling to for consumption. And
Oh my god.
yeah, so actually the medical experts are now suspecting that the source was very likely from bats. So just imagine they're even selling bats there.
Oh
Pretty
my god.
crazy.
They're selling bats to eat?
Well,
They are
yeah,
Chinese.
there are badgers. You got badgers. You got monkeys.
Yeah,
Oh my
monkeys.
god.
I
Well,
told you,
monkeys
like,
are
they have all
eat
sorts of
chips. I
animals.
mean, no, like, that's, like, common. Even, like, people don't realize, like, Chinese food, the,
Did we ever tell you that that there's one speaking in the Chinese culture? Everything that any walking living thing that the back faces the upward faces the sun, it's available for consumption.
yeah, what they do with the Chinese restaurants is they actually have. I'm going to tell you this, and most of our listeners are probably never going to eat Chinese chips ever again. So basically, the Chinese chips in most Chinese restaurants, they use monkey skin to make those.
Chips?
Yes.
Oh, must be cheaper than potatoes.
I don't know. I knew that fact, and when I learned that, I was just grossed out.
Damn, dude. Like, I always eat like Chinese food. I will still do. I will
Well-
still continue to do it.
That's fine. Just don't eat the chips.
No, I never
Just
eat.
don't eat it in China. Yeah. Should we go on with like the measures in Wuhan, or
Okay, back to the virus.
Yeah. Back to the virus. Okay, so besides China, the reason why people are worrying about this becoming an international incident is that the virus has now outreached further than China. We talked about before how there was some cases in Hong Kong that weren't being reported by the media. very few media outlets were reporting that there was cases within Hong Kong and around Hong Kong. But there are also 2 reported cases in Thailand, 1 in Japan, and so far 1 in South Korea. And there was also a report that I saw
And also
from a
in Taiwan.
journalist that there was a potential report of a case in Australia.
Oh, really? Oh, I know that
Yeah.
today they also have a diagnosed case in Taiwan. Yeah. So
Yeah. We saw 1 case so far in Taiwan. I expect that these numbers are going to double, triple, maybe even quadruple within the next couple weeks.
or maybe days. No, not weeks. That would be already.
You really think it's going to go days? You really think it's going to be that fast?
I would just embrace the number E exponential.
Yeah. I don't believe the Chinese government for a second saying that a city of 11 million, Wuhan, has only had a few hundred cases where people were infected with this virus. I don't believe that for a second.
Yeah, same for me. Same for me. Yeah. So actually, yesterday there were only like 3 deaths, and today
4.
6.
4.
4.
Yeah. There was one that was reported yesterday, late yesterday. Yeah.
Yeah, we're in different time zones.
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
Just the number of deaths doubled. Like, just let alone the cases, just the deaths already doubled. So imagine if every day it doubles. Gonna go exponentially high. And also, what's risky is that, so all the diagnosed cases outside Wuhan are actually all in big cities. So even just in China, in Beijing, there are a lot of people, very clustered. There's an airport.
Oh wait.
Like, if you
So
spread,
basically it's all the very big. It's all the big cities. You got Zhuhai, which is on the Pearl River Delta with all, which is like, I think it's one of the most, and Guangzhou, which is like also it's on the
14K.
border. It's in Shenzhen. Shenzhen is near to Shenzhen and Hong Kong. Those places are one of the most populated areas in the whole China. And we
Yeah,
got diagnosed case in Shanghai, very famous. And well,
it's
it's also a very crowded area.
Yeah, they are all crowded and they all have like major transportation to other cities. That's what's worrying. And also imagine, the case, in Japan was actually very, very close to Tokyo. So, that person who got diagnosed, was a Chinese. However, the people that he was interacting with, very likely that they could be working in Tokyo. So another big city.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Major problem. Major problem that all these big cities are getting infected like that. I expect, like I said, I expect it to increase 3 or 4 times within the next couple weeks. And I'm saying that these cities themselves will have an increase of 3 to 4 times. I'm not saying like the overall situation. I think the overall situation now is beyond what the Chinese government is saying. Well, because like we said, Wuhan is a city of 11 million, and to say that there's only been 100 so cases in a city of 11 million, you aren't telling the truth.
Also, if you remember SARS numbers, because it was also spread from animal to human and then human to human transmission, more than 8,000 people were infected and more than 800 deaths happened that time.
Yeah. In 2003.
Oh, that's SARS. Yeah.
Yeah.
And as we've discussed, Go ahead.
Now I'm just saying, like, now they're comparing this situation with SARS. Like,
Yep.
can we actually do better to prevent it from going into the SARS situation? That's the question for this generation.
Well, the funny thing is that they arrested 5 officials in 2004 and said that they were responsible for the SARS outbreak in 2002, 2003. And they said that it was an accident. It wasn't deliberate, and if scientists can accidentally release viruses like that, we're in trouble.
Yeah. But it's not like no one does anything to it. Like the places nearby, like Macau and Taiwan, they are like they have pretty good measures, I would say, for now. However, in Hong Kong, it's like terrible. So in Macau, they have a new kind of quick test that can get people diagnosed in 3-4 hours. And also at the border with China, they are classifying everyone who has been to Wuhan. So with the different level of risk of exposure to the disease, they are like categorizing people, and also for those with high risk, they put them into isolation for quite some time. I'm not sure about the time. I didn't note that down. Yeah, before letting them enter Macau. So that I would see as quite a good measure. Yeah.
It would be useful to tell our audience what kind of measures are taken in some parts of the country and in other countries like Taiwan.
Okay, shall I start with Wuhan or?
Sure, we can start with Wuhan.
Okay, so all the information was released only today, 21st. So now they are randomly checking vehicles in and out of Wuhan for livestock, like not that one, the living animals and also wildlife. So for example, what they used to sell in those markets of different kind of animals, including like what? In the picture, there's even a camel there.
I see that.
Yeah,
see
and
that,
hedgehog for eating. Seriously?
Yeah.
Oh.
I don't
And
know,
crocodile, peacock, and
the crocodile and alligator. That's like normal, but there's a lot of donkey meat. Like what? What?
oh yeah, there's a donkey there. Yeah, so they are checking the vehicles for these animals. If they find it, it probably would be taken away or might be stopped for something. Yeah, but they are not actually like checking the people, but checking whether the vehicles have those animals. But I don't know, would people actually like bring them to places? Like, let's take home a camel today for next week's dinner. Yeah.
Yeah, really. Yeah, it's a interesting thing, and the dog and cat and stuff like that, I've always been against. I think
Yeah.
that's fucked up in many ways, but yeah, that whole Yulin festival. Oh god, that makes my skin crawl and doesn't make me like the Chinese very much.
Yeah, and other than that, they are also setting up like thermometers at the airport and major train stations, piers, and also long distance train like stations. So if they find people with fever, they will give them pamphlets and masks, and also give them the option to either just go on with your trip, or you can cancel your tickets for free, and also you could be directed to a medical institute. But the thing is, they are not forced to stay. So even you were found having a fever, you can also refuse all those options and go on with your journey. Yeah. So that is in Wuhan, and they also have daily um, sterilization for their public transports, like buses and trains. Okay, so moving on to Macau, like just then I have mentioned about the classification of people who had been to Wuhan in entering Macau and the quick test. And the third thing is that today they have also released the information that they are going to set up a 24/7 coordination center for particularly for this virus. So even though they don't have diagnosed cases in Macau yet, this is quite a good precaution, I would say. Like they're doing it.
They don't have reported cases that are in the media,
Yeah,
but they probably have cases if they're doing that, and
oh yeah.
it could be a precaution, right? Put it this way, it could be a precaution, but isn't Macau very close to the infected areas?
Not like very close, but I would not be surprised that there isn't any case yet, because the flow of like people in and out of Macau is not such a large number. Like yeah, it's quite a number, but I don't know. It's not like the most major cities. Yeah.
So it's more.
Sorry. Actually, I would say that actually, what I personally, I don't know Macau a lot, but I actually heard that because the price, the living cost is cheaper in China compared to in Macau, so people actually go to go across the border to buy that they need, and this well and add up with the uh with the the immigrants over the years.
Yeah, but I'm talking about like the flow, like people entering and like going out of Macau every day. And also given it's not so close to Wuhan.
It's not close to Wuhan, but there are actually case. But Macau is very near to Zhuhai, which is one of the very populated cities
Mhm.
that actually now there's a I think there's a case there's already
Yeah,
cases over there.
one, isn't it? Yeah.
I think it's a wait. I remember it's a whole family.
Really? Oh, okay. Yeah, then it could be possible for Macau also have to have cases that were maybe just not disclosed yet. Yeah, because Macau is kind of small. I would not be surprised if they don't have it yet, because in such a small population, then just kind of probability thing. Yeah, so in comparison to Macau, Hong Kong is doing like nothing. So in Hong Kong, now it is mandatory for visitors coming in from Wuhan only in flights to fill out a health declaration form. So that is, they're not even checking everyone who's coming in from Wuhan. They're just like, okay, give me a form saying
Oh
that
no
you're.
no, they were
Yeah.
like there's a high speed rail in the middle.
Yeah, yeah.
There's a high
And they are
speed
not
rail
doing any.
coming like no, it's not only doing anything. I think one of the the one of our one of the Hong Kong's prominent figures. I think is who is it? Anyway, he said that it's not viable to let people coming from the high speed rail to fill up the decorations form because people coming together on the counter, filling up the forms, will actually increase the risk of people transmitting the disease together. So this is not a viable option to do.
Wow, incredible.
Incredible logic.
Yeah, incredible. Wait, like how? They are already together on the train. That is not what? Yeah, that is just ridiculous. Yeah, so they're like not checking everyone for Macau who's entering from Wuhan. They would be like um checked like on a person. I mean, uh, checked one by one. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, they will be checked one by one to classify whether they are having of exposure to the disease. However, in Hong Kong, they're just like fill up a declaration form and that's all, and only for flights. And the second thing is that the public hospitals, um, the government say that they should strengthen their precaution measures. So nothing concrete. Just like, yeah, you should do better, something like that. However, like the people themselves are trying to take care of the situation. For example, one travel agent in Hong Kong called the Hong Tai Travel Service Limited have cancelled all its tours going to Wuhan until the end of March. So they are foreseeing they're not yeah, they're expecting the situation to go on until March, the end of March, and yeah, to the very for the very least. Yeah, and what is dangerous about having so little precautions in Hong Kong is that Hong Kong actually is one of the major airports for domestic flight in China to change into international flight. So if they don't get filtered in Hong Kong for the risk of having this disease, it is very likely that they would just transfer to another flight and go international. So with the virus with them.
Not to mention this how the SARS outbreak actually went into the world because it's because one of the professors get unchecked and bring the virus into a hotel in Hong Kong, and the same the whole and like the guests in the same level, they bring all their viruses back to their homeland. So when you compare the when you're in such like if you're such a city with such international connections, I think you have to be responsible for like for preventing what this to happen, because to prevent the transmission of disease in the international community. Okay, so
I think we've gone
the
topic, right? Do you have any more topics that we want to discuss, or?
I think we mentioned most things for now.
Yeah, I think it's a good time to wrap things up.
It's up to you guys. It's fine with me.
I think we are done with most of the topics, but we can talk about what people can do to keep safe from this disease.
Okay, so yeah, in general, I'm not a medical specialist, but in general, please keep your like please wash your hands. If you're sick, please wear a mask. Yes, but in general, wash your hands, wash your hands, wash your hands 3 times. Very important.
Yeah,
Very important. Wash your hands.
the Chinese officials are actually saying for people to wear masks, like which you think about it like this: if they say they got it contained, and then at the same time they're saying wear mask, you better be fearful because like it's double speak. Like they're basically saying, oh yeah, we got it under control, but wear mask because. So yeah, it's a very interesting situation. Like I said, I think this is going to expand very fast within the next couple weeks, if not days. So
Yeah,
we'll probably have an update next week.
I think washing your hands is one. I think is probably the most important thing because people don't really think about what your hands touch. But if you're like touching public doors, you're touching the counters in stores, you're touching. In stations, you're touching these railings next to the stairs and stuff. Every door and things, you're touching this, and thousands of people are touching these things. So
Yeah, that's very true.
yeah, was it exactly?
I mean, because the main mode these viruses transmit is by saliva, by mucus. So when you like let's say when you touch these like these particles, you're getting the viruses, and you go and rub your eyes or noses, then the virus will go into your body via your one of the what do you call that? like they they enter the body via the nose, your mouth. So it's very first thing, it's very important to wash hands regularly.
Also, it's important to know the source of the meat, animal products you buy, and even if you are sure that they don't come from Wuhan area and infected areas, it's important to cook them very well at this time. Boil your drinking water.
Yeah, that's
And
of course.
Also, maybe wash your vegetables and fruits very well, and add some vinegar into the rinsing water. It's always
Yeah. Normally with viruses, they can't really survive outside of the human body. That's like a big difference between like viruses and like bacteria. Maybe for a short while they can, but so hygienics is very important. Personal hygiene is important, but of course, if you don't want like the direct virus, yeah, you have to like the where your food is coming from, and have to be careful about what kind of meat you eat, and use the proper hygienics there too. Usually, if you burn it well, nothing much will survive. But yeah.
And so oh yes, about the household cleaning, I know for currently I would say, because uh the the best solution is to use either diluted bleach or household detergents. Clean your house regularly, and so that to what try to to don't let the virus to remain in the environment, and also to remain these ensure good ventilation around the house, so the viruses won't like, and in general like germs would remain in the houses. remain in your house and grow.
Oh, we breaking news. A traveler from China has been diagnosed with Wuhan fever in Seattle.
Oh,
Oh,
Seattle.
That's bad. That is
Then
bad.
probably the next country could be Canada.
That's the U.S. though. Like
Yeah,
that's
I know,
not
but it's
Canada.
Seattle, like so close.
Yeah.
The thing is, I have like I have a whole bunch of news wires that are linked into my Telegram and RSS feeds and stuff. So like when news happens, I usually know it before anybody.
Hmm.
But this is not good. This is from Zero Hedge. Traveler, hold on. Traveler from China diagnosed in Seattle with Wuhan. CDC. Oh, this is CDC saying this. This is going to
that
be an
shows
international
how fast it
situation.
spreads. It is spreading very fast. Also, it's important that patients with this pneumonia should be treated in a separate section in hospitals and not to be mixed with other patients. Another important thing is that government should issue a list of symptoms for this disease, and
They
patients
did.
with symptoms should go to the if they know that they carry this symptom.
They did list symptoms, but the thing is, some of these people who are being infected, they don't have any symptoms, and then until they are feeling ill, um, there's no definitive symptoms for this virus. There's a list of like normal virus influenza symptoms, right? But there's no specific symptoms to this virus that everybody has. Everybody has like a uh, different varying symptoms.
I guess fever could be one of the most common
Yeah,
ones. You get fever
fever,
all the time
cough.
for a lot of things.
So first,
Right.
it starts with fever, right?
Mm-hmm. Because your body is combating with the virus.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Yeah.
But
Well,
then
in
there was a
general,
case.
fever is a sign.
Yeah.
In general, fever is a sign, but yeah, it could be anything. And the most bugging thing is like because now it's also the flu season. So, well, it, I mean, like it's it's so easy to get mixed up with flu and the new virus. So when in doubt, I'll eh, when in doubt, just please consult a doctor
Yeah, and
because
they might give you
things are
tests.
getting confusing.
Have you covered the ones in Taiwan, the measures?
No, not yet.
Okay, so actually they have a pretty nice policy. Like starting from tomorrow, 22nd, they will have more than 5 hospitals providing like tests for the new virus. I mean, there will be 9 hospitals providing like beds for isolation. So like in those hospitals, they already have places for this disease. Like when they expect people to come to isolate them.
That's the problem, though. When the panic starts, anyone who has fever could just rush to the hospitals,
Yep.
suspecting if they are.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, right. But yeah, at least like if there are people who actually have the disease, they could effectively isolate them from the community.
Yeah. The thing again is that not everybody with this has a fever. There was a case in I believe Thailand or Japan, one of the two, where somebody had the Wuhan virus, but they didn't have a fever. So you normally when you get a viral infection, your body tries to combat it by That's what causes a fever, right?
Yeah.
But with this, some of the people being infected probably don't have fevers. It's a very weird virus. Very weird virus.
At least they could go and take some tests in the hospitals.
Mm-hmm. Right. That would be the only way that they would know is if they did intensive testing.
Yeah, but it is also risky for so many people to just rush to the hospital. Then during the waiting time, people might already be infected.
Right.
Yeah, it's critical about how long do you have to be in contact with those people and how did the virus actually spread, which we still don't have an answer for. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's true. Oh, more breaking news. China confirms sixth death in coronavirus.
Yeah, that's already the number this morning and so on.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
crazy. So the numbers are already starting to go up.
Yeah, yesterday it was 3 deaths and this morning it was already 6.
I guess that we should keep updating our audience often about this illness because it's spreading and what they should do and if there are more symptoms.
Yeah. Even though we don't have a lot of information about the symptoms and about the virus its own until now. Yeah.
Wait, but wait a minute. I heard I think I read some of the infographics. They said that few of them had went out of the like have been recovered and went out of the hospital. I'm not quite sure if it's
Yeah.
real.
Yeah, there are people
But
who were reported to have recovered.
okay.
Yeah.
But let's say in the end, the most important thing is to stay healthy and wash your hands. That's the two things that will prevent you from will protect you from all these viruses even if you don't know how even when we don't know how to combat them.
Mm-hmm. And avoid going to very crowded places.
Yeah, these are the most important things to protect ourselves from this illness.
Hmm.
Okay, guys. So I think that was all for today. We will be back next week, probably Sunday, for the regular Asia episodes. Please remember to share. That's what we depend on. And thanks everyone for listening.